Marin.
Okay, let's go. Thank you. Hello, Buenos Aires. I will do it in English. I can try do it in Spain. Will be a very short presentation. Okay, so my session today, the performance imperative agility was never the goal. I think I was introduced quite thoroughly already. So a little bit about me, coming from Germany, working as a management consultant since a couple of years, internationally, mainly in Europe and North America. And the slides are gone, but we will fix that. So in the last years, I've been doing a lot of management stuff. Mainly my role is to organize things. And when you organize things, you will, at some point in time, get together with agile. Whether it's good or not, agile will be on your plate. Most times it's not good, but that's a spoiler for later on. So I would tell a joke while there are tricks in the slides, but I'm German, so also that wouldn't be a good joke. And here we go. My clicker even works. Yeah, this is me again. Let's skip that. You've all seen me. Today I will first take you on a little journey, something I experienced with a client of mine, and then I will tell you how to not do the same journey, and you will find out why you don't want to do that journey. So, this is Paul. Let me tell you a story about Paul. 10 years ago, Paul was a freelancer. A really good one, because Paul had a client, and he delivered a valuable service to the client, so the client was really happy, gave him some feedback, he incorporated the feedback into his new results, and therefore he got cash. That's a very simple transaction. You deliver something valuable, so you get cash back. And also his contracts, of course, were extended. As long as the client is satisfied, why would he change the freelancer? Things were good, clients were happy, so was Paul, so he scaled. And he was like, yeah, you know, if I can make a lot of money on my own, I can make 5 times a lot of money with employees. So this is a Paul Software Incorporated. He still delivered services, got feedback, money, and contract extensions. So far, so good. And then he started hiring some developers. They deliver the services as well. They support Paul. Everything's fine. And they start aligning among themselves. The more developers, the more alignment. He had even more developers, even more alignment, and then he started to hire marketing people. Of course, they aligned with Paul, they aligned with each other, and then he hired sales. They also aligned with Paul, aligned with marketing, aligned with developers, aligned with each other. Half of the time now is meetings. Great, fun thing to do. And then, of course, if you have a lot of meetings, you're going to hire administrational stuff. So they align with Paul, they align, you know the drill. You know where this goes. Everyone tries to align with everyone, and nobody is actually aligning anything. So he hires more developers, and at some point in time, even a PMO, well, he was young and naive. And then they, of course, align a lot with everyone because it's a PMO. It's their job. And then things kind of became convoluted. So Paul sat down and read the newest management books and articles, and he added a middle management. And he made up this beautiful structure on an empty canvas and came up with something like this. And he thought it's straightforward. I have a head of who has team leads, who has a team, right? Yeah, but people started meetings. So the teams aligned with themselves, with their team lead and with their head offs, of course. But the head offs talked to each other, And the team leads, of course, talk to each other. The marketing team leads goes to product management, whatever. Sales aligns with everyone. All the developers want to align with everyone. And of course, everyone wants to align with the PMO. Well, they have to align with the PMO. And then also everyone has to align with admin. You know, once you took a company trip, you have to hand in your bills, and that's a process with 3 pieces of paper and really not digital at all. And then the head also aligned with Paul, but Paul micromanages, so he aligns with anyone at every time, at any time. Oh, they still have customers. They didn't think about that. Huh. Where's our deliverable? Oh, you're mad now. Yeah, that's not good. Means no cash, no extensions of contracts. So output vanished. Clients were unsatisfied. Paul was desperate. He went looking for help. So he called Emma. Emma is a consultant at Agile Solution Consulting at Very Agile Inc. And Emma has a lot of certifications. It's important. Scrum Master, Product Owner, Agile Coach, you know, Prince 2 Agile, Safe 6, Nexus, ITIL 4, Backlog Facilitational, Professional by Scrum Org, some systemic coaching. She also got a lot of fancy degrees, a bachelor's, a master's, some MBA, and Paul is really impressed. This is a person that could help me, so he booked with a dozen consultants at Very Agile. And they started implementing a framework. They came to Paul and said, we have the solution, it's called Agile. We just have to add something to what you already have. So we take what you have, and on top we said, some Scrum Masters. Yeah, now, here we fixed it. We have Scrum Masters, now we are Agile. Oh, we also need Product Owners, please. And some release train engineers, that would be good. Also, could you add a solution train engineer to the mix? Because we need one to steer the release train engineers and then steer the Scrum Masters. Also, an Epic owner would be great. What he does, yeah, well, it's part of the framework. Don't you worry about it, Paul. And of course, Paul needs his personal management consultant. How should it be else? Everyone has a new fancy consultant now. Paul needs one as well. And then you have the whole Kanban master, because they don't want to do Scrum, but they still have to be Agile, so they are doing Kanban, and they call it Kanban master. And those guys start to align with the team and with the management consultant and with each other. And all the product owners with product management, because we just take 2 exclusive concepts and put it in one. It's great. We don't have to fire anyone, we don't have to restructure, we just add functionality on top of dysfunctionality. What could go wrong? Things are on a low. People are only in meetings. Half of the meetings is old-fashioned waterfall meetings, the other half is called sprint planning, refinement, retrospective, or whatever you might come up with. 21 guilds each day. So products are abandoned, clients are canceling contracts. And Paul asks himself, in the evening, drinking a glass of wine, looking back 10 years ago, he had happy clients, working products, and he asks himself, we are agile now? To be debatable, but yeah, he thinks he's agile now, but it's still not working. What went wrong? So, to give you some insights, what went wrong? First of all, agility for the whole time in a lot of companies is perceived as a desirable state and end goal. Companies start becoming agile. Nobody talks about creating value. People start about becoming agile. But what happens if you treat agile as an actual goal? Agile as a state that's desirable for you and your company? You will be stuck to guides. The Scrum Guide will be your new holy Bible. And if you differ from it, even though it might create more value than sticking to it, it's just perceived wrong. Secondly, you will treat agile over product. The only goal we have as a company, look back at Paul 10 years ago when he was a freelancer, the only goal we have is to create the most meaningful product for our clients at all times. And our client doesn't buy if we are agile or not. If I download a dating app, for example, and the dating app doesn't work, and the error message is, yes, sorry, we do not work right now, but we are agile, I don't care. I want to date, I don't want them to be agile. You will create massive structures and overhead. I just visualized that. And you will prevent change. So agile, if you go agile, if you try to be agile, you need to be able to change the way you approach becoming agile at any point in time. If you are noticing something doesn't work, throw it away. You don't need a daily to deliver valuable products. It's just a means to an end. And if it doesn't work, either make it valuable or don't do it. Find another solution. So what should you do? What is the actual goal when we become agile, when we become principal, when we do basically anything in management? We want to have a working product. That's like the #1 thing, because without a working product, no company would be still alive. Nobody here in this room would pay a subscription for, well, nothing. Secondly, we want to have value-optimized products, meaning we want to have products that bring the maximum of what we could provide to our customer. Every customer idea that is coming as feedback to us is far more valuable than any CEO idea that was created during an 8-hole golf course. We want to have high-performing structures, of course, so we want people to be able to work at their best at all times. We don't want developers to sit around 8 hours in some sprint planning meetings back to back, or having a context break every 2 hours because there's a guild meeting, then you can work an hour, then the sprint planning, then you can work an hour. Then we have the retrospective, and then maybe you can do some overtime because you still got work to do. And we want to have customer-facing results, meaning on the market, it only counts what we deliver to the market. Nobody cares about your internal deployment staging systems. No client will be like, yeah, if it's on the staging, it's fine. I'm going to pay for it. They just don't. Second thing that went wrong in this case study, the whole organization became framework-driven. They were so obsessed with their safe Spotify Scrum hybrid monster. So what happens if you think only from the framework? The guides will become your brain. You just turn off the brain and be like, yeah, here's a nice checklist. The guy says ABC, and if the guide says ABC, we're gonna do ABC. If D works, but you did ABC, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble financially, eventually. You will also just check off boxes. So you will do a very technical implementation of a guide that was written 30 to 40 years ago, assuming that if you just check off the boxes to a guy that's older than me probably, your company will magically work. Also, you will deem changes to the rules undesirable. Already talked about that a little bit, but when you are following guides and you are really only adhering to the guides, thinking only from the framework, you will miss out on the opportunities you get by changing the rules. You have to understand the guides, yes, but only to break the rules where it creates value for you. Fourth, you will impose unnecessary rules to your employees. Never ever have I been in a company where a developer said, yeah, it's great to have 20 meetings. I love it. That's what I want to do. And they're all really valuable. Without them, I wouldn't be so sad in my job. 90% of developers are like, I want to code some cool shit. And if I have a cool talk with a colleague of mine about a new tech or something, I'm happily jump on a call, but when I want to do it, in my pace and in what I really need. So what should you do? You should become not framework, but value-centric. So adopting the rules when they don't fit your needs. Adopting the rules when your employees, your people can't work with them. You should embrace value positive changes. So if an employee comes up and says, yeah, sorry, your scrum master, whatever role is sitting there between the chairs, the daily is not valuable. You can either be framework centric and say, yeah, well, but it's part of the framework, so we got to do it. Wasting 2 hours every week of a lot of people's time. Or you can be embracing value positive changes and ask the developer, okay, how can we make it valuable? What would actually help you? Or don't you need it at all? So next one, make sure it is working perfectly for the people who are using your framework, who are using your processes. As a manager, often you are not the user of what you did build. You are just somebody who did build something for somebody else. Think of the framework you as a manager are building as your product that you are delivering to the employees you are supposed to be managing. And if they can't work with the framework you created, your product sucks. Simple as that. Don't even need to sugarcoat it. Fourth, customer-facing outcome over internal processes. Already gave the dating app example. It's literally like this with everyone. So it's always about what is facing the customer. Of course, let's not talk about regulation, security, that needs to be in place. But the market value of management is directly linked to what the people management is enabling are creating for the customer. There is no inherent value in management. There's only the value you're creating through good management. The third shortcoming we saw with Paul and his company, agile plus dysfunction, doesn't mean you're functioning now. What happens if you put agile on a dumpster fire? You will create additional overhead. I had a team last year. I came in there as a consultant for process and organizational structures. And they were like, yeah, we have 4 product owners and 2 developers. I'm not the best in math, but this didn't sum up right. And if you just have a dysfunctional team and put a lot of functions on it, you will scale your dysfunctions. You won't add function. You will also add fatigue and demotivation. Just ask those 2 developers how they felt with 4 product owners who all had the claim of them being their developers. They opened up the laptop, looked at the screen, and called in sick. That's basically the fatigue you are creating here with those dysfunctional structures. Also, you will have redundancies and higher costs. I've seen a lot of, I've been with over 20 companies now. And over half of it, especially the bigger ones, had a product management, a product research team, requirements engineers, and product owners. None of those companies could tell me what the distinction is. They are all doing, yes. You know? No, I don't know. I just don't. It's not working for me. We are creating redundancies here. And bringing us to the last point, we are also creating unknown responsibilities. We are expecting people to do stuff that they don't even know about that they are supposed to do it. And then inherently you will be disappointed with the product and the people. If you are not clear about what you expect, and if I don't communicate clearly what I want from you, how can I expect people to live up to the responsibility? And if I don't even know who has which responsibility because I'm quadruple redundant in some functions of my value chain, well, then I'm done. So what should you do? Whenever you want to optimize an organization, start thinking lean. Don't think agile, don't think Scrum, don't think Kanban. We can do all of that, and I will happily do it for everyone, but let's start lean. Start where it hurts most. Not with a framework, but with working methods. We don't need to apply a full framework. We can start with the small changes. Then purge what doesn't work. If you see something doesn't work, you don't have to archive it in some hellhole of documentation or keep doing it. Purge it. Again, make sure it works for the people using it. And every meeting and every structure is a financial investment. Start thinking about meetings and structures as actual opportunity costs you are creating. Because having 15 people in a room for 2 hours is not for free. Yes, you're gonna pay the salary anyways, but they could have done real work. So ask yourself, is this meeting more valuable than the real work 15, 5, 10 people could do in the same time? And please factor in the context switches when you do a meeting, especially for developers. The company growth of Paul was not value-centric. You saw the first slide where he was delivering his services and it was all in the center. The client was there, the service was there, everything was really big. And then the client went to the upper right-hand side and he cared a lot about his internal processes. So what you want to do, or what happens then, if you will have unbalanced resources, you will have unsatisfied customers, well, because nothing comes out. Your communication will cost you a lot. If everyone aligns with everyone at any time, you can make sure, you will involuntarily make sure that everyone is using a lot of time with communication, which costs a lot of money. And also internal ideas are nice, and I really appreciate them often. Technically, for example, they're king. But product-wise, their customers' ideas, the ones paying for it, the ones opening their purse and giving you real money, are far more important than some management brainstorming session in the middle of nowhere in a nice hotel that's really remote and really not close to the customer. So you want to have value-driven growth. You want to have the optimized utilization of everyone. Everyone should be able to give 100% of their skill set at any time into the company's value creation. You want to have the customer in the middle of everything you do. You want to communicate only as it's useful, and your desired end state, to bring us back to agility as a desired end state, should be delivered value. You want to be a value machine to the customer. Just one example, what I did with another company who had the same problem, we started to break down their value chain. It was car manufacturing, actually. So we started and asked ourselves, okay, the customer has a need, which is mobility. This is a need. We all want to have some sort of mobility in our lives. So what do we need to do? We need to procure the materials, manage inventory, yada, 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 yada. In the end, customer has car. This was our core value stream. These were the function we needed to create to get from a desire to a deliverable. And then, of course, we had some enablement stuff. We had people management, HR. We had finance. We had legal, and so on and so on. And from there on, we started the whole organization of the company. Not by adding Scrum Masters, not by adding anything, but we ask ourselves, who do we need and what function do we need to fulfill in each of those steps to create a deliverable that is relevant to the market and will be bought? That was the main question, not talking about Agile or Prince or Nexus or less. Oh, there are far too many frameworks. So we talked about how can we fulfill a customer's desire. That's the only question you have as a company in the beginning. I'm looking at the time here, so making it quick. Shortcoming 5, not understanding what agility is about. So we have some values. These are the most important. We want to be outcome driven. We want to have shared goals. We want to think lean. We want to be efficient. We want to have intrinsic motivation with people, not extrinsic motivation. Then we have some principles, building on that, validation cycles, incremental work, inspect and adapt, working close to the market. We have some practices that could be a daily, could be a planning, and then we have some methods and frameworks that could build upon that. Problem is, this is what management sees and orders. I want to Scrum. This down here is what actually makes the value positive outlook and difference. So, bonus shortcoming, 5 seconds, the market is broken. I will quickly do it, you all got it. Very agile consulting tries to sell agile as a product, it's not. Agile is a means to an end to deliver to a customer. It's not a product in itself. Main takeaway, first focus on the function. This is the function you want to have as a company, and then let your form follow, not the other way around. Thank you.
Muy bien, ahora vamos a pasar a la parte de preguntas. Si alguien se anima a hablar en inglés, puede hacer una pregunta. Si no, la dice en español y yo se la traduzco a él en inglés, como les parezca. ¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta, algún comentario? Ceci puede pasar el micrófono. Levantan la mano. No sé. Sí, en inglés o en español, como te salga.
You can do German as well.
German, okay.
Yeah.
En español y me
Sí.
traducís. ¿Cómo se hace para convencer a la gente que trabaja en los roles que están de más, que tienen que cambiar a otra forma de ver?
So how do you convince people that are on those roles that you mentioned, those like non-meaningful roles, that they have to change? How do you convince them that they have to change for those people that have on those roles?
Yeah, it's a fun question. Often it's learning by pain. So a lot of people will only learn once they went to the pain. Paul only learned when he lost a lot of money. Before that, it's really difficult because people will think they're the smartest in the room very often. Yeah.
It's his army way, learn through pain.
Yeah, learn through pain. So I think the best entry point is actually helping people who understood they need help and not trying to push it onto them.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Allá tenemos una. ¿Español o inglés?
Sí, o sea, alemán. No, en inglés. So we are a small startup, and we started a couple developers, and the problem we had is that we didn't have any management at all. We had a product owner, but it was mostly based on UX and user experience overall. So the problem we had is that we developers diverged into cowboy coding and blog-oriented development and stuff like that. So what's the sweet spot? You need some management to keep that in check, right?
Yeah, I would agree. You need management up to a certain degree. Just keep in mind your steering committee is not creating value as long as they don't steer your developers accordingly. If you feel like you have too many experts in their subject matter at hand and nobody is coordinating them anywhere, then you might need to want to add some little form of management, bringing people together to work on one deliverable, one market goal. And as long as you have that, you have a good ratio. But normally I would say on a team level, it's 1 to 10. Above that, yeah, depends on your company.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿No? Perfecto. Bueno, un fuerte aplauso para Marin.